All right, hi, this is Mark. This is chapter 7 out of 9 for the Prusa MK3 assembly. This chapter is the power supply unit and the heated bed assembly. So let's get started. All right. All right, so the step has starting with the plastic pieces, so let's get those out of the bag. I'm going to scoot my printer back a little bit here. Let's just get all this unloaded here. So I got my plastic bits. I got screws. SD cards in there safe. All right. Alrighty then. Okay. Let's get these out. All right. Let's see. I guess starting in mid-January, they started to ship a redesigned heat bed cable cover, which I don't think I got. So let's see. Picture, new design. Oh, this is the new design. The old design was a single plastic piece that looked different. So they got rid of that. This new design apparently has some better features to it. So, and then extra fasteners were needed, so they threw those in the bag. It says, take your heat bed. You're going to need your heat bed, which is right here. So let's get this out of the bag. All right, so that is the heat bed. It's basically a giant printed circuit board, a really thick one, and then they've laminated or milled in. I'm not sure. It looks like that they etched. It's like a PC board with etched in heater elements in here. So this whole bed is designed to heat up, and then they routed out slots for magnets to hold the metal printed metal thing down. I can see circuit traces for the heat bed in here, even though on this side they milled through it. So I don't know, maybe that's just like a duplicate layer or something. That's kind of interesting because that won't heat through here. But you can see on this side, you can barely in the camera see these lines that are in the not the white lines, but the texture of this. That's copper traces, and it serpentines back and forth. If you run a bunch of voltage through that, it's going to heat up, and that's how you get a heated print bed. So really cool design, really nice, kind of elegant compared to the one that was in the replicator one. So yeah, they say grab that. You're going to need the spiral wrap. So there's one remaining piece of spiral wrap from the kit. So that's it. It's this thing right here. So then I think it needs, does it need the heat bed cable cover, which I think is this fabric cover here. So that's also in the kit. Then I got all my nuts and screws. And then it wants a 30 centimeter nylon filament, which I think they said they got rid of. I could have sworn they said they got rid of that. That's interesting. Yeah, a previous step said that there was only one piece of filament in this kit, so I'm not sure what that's for. I guess we'll find out, or we'll leave it out. It's probably just stiffen a cable. I'll worry about that later. So, oh yeah, interesting. So they're telling me that I need my piece of nylon filament, which didn't come in the kit. Or if it did, I don't know where it's at. So, I don't know if anybody in the chat knows where I might look for it. So that's missing. I'm going to skip it for now. It's basically a cable stiffener. I think this will be fine. But that's a little bit suspicious. I'll have to figure out if it belongs in the kit or not. But this connector has a spot for you to insert the end of the nylon. So maybe the nylon was for the other. No, they definitely said. Well, I don't know. I do not know. It's not in the kit, and I'm pretty sure a previous step said that it won't be in the kit. But this step is saying that it's there. So none of these notes say anything about it not being here. So let me see if I'm on the right steps here. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it says new design, which is what I got here. Start with step 3. And step 3 expects me to have the nylon filament, which I don't have. So I think I'll have to go locate some nylon filament somewhere. So not a biggie. I'm going to skip it. I'm not too worried about it. I'll probably find something as a substitute somewhere. So we're going to skip that step. Thanks, Prusa. It says put nuts in this connector here. There's three holes. They need nuts pressed in. So we will do that. So there's one nut in the other screw kit and then 2 more in this kit, I guess. So the other thing is the trick for pulling nuts into the plastic is if you can't get them to press in, is draw them in with a screw. So which is exactly what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to find an M3, a decent M3, and shorter ones. And then so I put a screw through here. I'm just tightening it on the nut, and I can see it drawing into the plastic. So I'm going to do that for all 3 of these. That's 1. Okay, so Galen's saying the spiral should be for the x-axis, and the cloth cover should be for the bed, and no nylon filament. So, so I guess the instructions are a little confusing because they're clearly saying that with the new cover that I got, it wants filament, but I guess they didn't correct it and say that if you have the cloth cable cover, then you don't need the filament. So maybe they just have to update their manual or something, I'm guessing. Maybe I'll give some, at some point I'll just get online and get some feedback on that page on their website. Let them know that I find that a little bit weird. So draw this in. There we go. And the last nut. Yeah, the nuts on the holes for the nuts on this one are really tight. Some of the other plastic pieces weren't so much, but this trick to draw the screw in, I've done this on my own prints. I've done this dozens of times. It's the way to get them in. Let's get that lined up. Alright. Get all that drawn in. Okay. It says that this and my wires, it says place the heat bed cable over the cover on the heat bed and cover the soldered cable. So the soldered cables are here. It says to place this connector here, as so. It fits. It goes right on there, which is kind of good fit. And then put a screw in from the other side to make it stay in place. And the nice thing there is it helps protect the wires from getting damaged at the PC board. So that's kind of nice. Make sure it's on camera here. Yeah. Out of the shadows. Okay, Galen says, make sure I'm looking at the textile cover chapter. Maybe I just got a mixed set of parts here. So, it says proper cable management, new design. Mounting the heat bed cable cover, new design. It is the new heat bed cover. Let me skip through here. That one is showing the spiral wrap, though. That's the old design with the nylon filament. That's the old connector. Alright, my instructions aren't showing a fabric. I guess I have to read it closer here. Yeah, this one talks about using spiral wrap on this heat bed. So yeah, I'm a little confused here. Let's see. It says, see the picture to recognize your version. And it's clearly, this cover is the new design. But in those instructions on the new design, in step 3, they tell me that I should have a nylon filament, which I don't. So I may have to just go get a nylon filament or something. But it definitely says to use the spiral wrap. And I think that, I'm not sure what the nylon's for, but it's for something not here. So it says at the textile cover chapter 7. Hold on, I know, you know what? I think there was an alternate 7 chapter. Here it is. There were 2 chapter 7s they published, and it's sorted differently in my list of PDF files. So Okay, heat bed and PSU assembly textile sleeve. So I was starting with the wrong instructions. That's a little confusing because all their other instructions where they update something, they just tell you in the instruction, hey, do this one or do that one. So it's a little jarring to have two chapter 7s and then have to at the last minute remember which one I'm doing, and I'm a first time builder of this, so it's a little bit um, it's a little bit confusing. I can see from this first step of this that we want the fabric textile sleeve, and there is no nylon. Okay, so we're back on track. It's the same cover, same 3D printed cover we already started with, and the same looks like the same starting point. So So it looks like I'm on the right track. I don't need the spiral wrap for this step. I just find that publishing two chapter 7s is a little confusing. So let's continue on. So I already did the first 3 steps and they were already what they need to be. So it says, let's see, I screwed this on the way they want me to. It says don't pinch any wires, which we're not. And it says don't break any wires. Okay, it says do not stretch the black and white thermistor cable. Leave some slack under the heat bed. So when the heat bed moves during the print, the cable won't get stretched and then resulting in a disconnection from the center of the heat bed. So, and that's this, under this foil is the thermistor. And then they have a little bit of a bend here, but they said don't stretch it. You'll risk breaking the wire. So we're going to make sure we have just a little bit of, that the cable's a little bit relaxed once we add it to the bundle here. It says guide the black thermistor cable next to the heat bed heater cable and wrap it a few times around it. So they're saying so here's the heat bed cable. You hook those 2 ends up, it'll heat the heat bed. Thermistor cable is this smaller cable, and it says to basically wrap just a few wraps of this thermistor cable around our heavier wire. Just like that, and that'll just keep it managed inside the cable. I'm going to make sure I still have a little bit of slack to it, so that when it moves here, it's not yanking on this cable. But I have a nice arc in it. It should any slack should be handled pretty well for it. So, all right. So that was step 5. Step 6, it says wrap the heat bed cables. It says use the textile sleeve and wrap the cables from the heat bed. Start a few centimeters. Start by a few centimeters of the sleeve behind the heat bed cover. When the first wrap is ready, slide it inside the heat bed cover. Ensure it is at least 5 or 6 millimeters in. It says before you continue wrapping with the sleeve, you need to fix it in the cable cover. So we're just going to get, with our fabric, this fabric sleeve, it just says do the first, 20, 30 millimeters worth, an inch and a half, and then we're going to get it secured in, and then we'll finish the rest of the wrap process. So I'm going to open this up and get my wires around it. All right, there we go. All right, let me, fun to work with. All right, I think I got that. Let me get it tucked right. All right, so I got the first inch or so of that, and then I'm going to slide it up into the connector as far as it looks like it's supposed to go. Keep that wire a little bit. So that looks like what it needs to be. It's in there a few millimeters. Just like in the picture. And it says secure the cover down. So we have this little plastic cover piece. So we're going to secure that down, and that's going to grab the fabric and clamp that all in and keep that stuff all secure. Make sure there's just a tiny bit of slack in your thermistor cable. Probably not too much, but a good arc in there. And then I'm going to hand tighten this. I just want to make sure that, like, when I do this, I'm not pinching anything. It's kind of doing what I expect it to do. And it says put two M3x10s. Let's get these in here. These pre-started. Yeah, these are really tight tolerance on these holes, so I can kind of thread these a little bit and stay in place. I don't have to struggle with them. That one has a little bit of something in the hole. There we go. That screw here. All in all, this is a really fun kit to build. I don't think it's all that difficult. I caught myself on a few mistakes, which is good. But I get the sense I'm going to really enjoy this printer. Get this to catch. Spread these in a little bit. These are a little bit fun to thread. It's just the hole tolerances on the 3D printed parts are really tight. A lot of times when I print stuff, I give it a slightly more tolerance than this. But if I just have to clear it out, that's not a bad thing either. So let's get these in here. There, that one goes. Yeah, I can feel that going. Okay, so they're not tight yet, but they're in place. I just want to inspect this, make sure I have the wrap where I want it, and then I'll tighten it down. I think that's where it needs to be. And then, so it's on there, it's fairly secure. There's still a gap, so I'm going to read the instructions and make sure that they're telling me whether or not it needs to be tightened all the way. Sometimes you don't, right? So let's see here. It says make sure the thermistor cable is in the middle going through the cutout in the printed part. It is. It says otherwise you'll pinch it and possibly break it. I don't see anything, like most of the fabric isn't even going past the groove in there, so I'm pretty sure I'm not screwing that up. It says don't tighten the screw completely on one side and then the other, right? It says you want to do them evenly, but it says the tightened cover should look like in the picture, and this clearly shows that the two plastic pieces are literally touching together. So, and I still have a gap in mine. So they're saying that this really gets clamped down. I know I have one wire is right here. I'm going to make sure that the wire is clear. Alright, I got that. So it says to tighten it down. Let's hope we don't crack something. So I'm just doing a few turns per screw on either side to get it down evenly. Like they said, don't screw one side and down the other. Like, do each one a little bit at a time until the whole thing is down. But I can see it's going more and more with each try. I'm going to use a small Allen wrench to make sure that this one wire that I saw was kind of crossing over the plastic is really pushed out of the way and not pinching in my plastic. Just want to give it a slight push. Goes for that side. The actual thermistor cable, they say, make sure it doesn't pinch, but they were clever and they soldered the two power wires down, and then they ran the thermistor cable right up in the Y that wire formed, and that was a smart way to make sure that wire stays centered when it leaves the connector housing. So be sure that one's right. All right, I'm just going. It's a little bit at a time, but it's getting there. So I think it's almost all the way there. Yeah, and the gap is almost gone on this. So there it goes. All right, it bottomed out. They both bottomed out. So that cable's in there. It's clamped. It's not going anywhere. Cables are not pinched. I think if you pinched a cable, you'd meet a lot of resistance before the gap would close on that. So don't just, if it starts to fight you, back it out and see why is it doing that. But yeah, don't break your plastic pieces. But that's secure. That looks really secure. That looks good. So it says now just finalize the wrap. So let's work. Let's just work the wire into our wrap now. So almost there. All right, the wrap is around the wires. So that's it. Nice fiber wrap. Very professional looking when it's done. I know that some older printers and the printer kits, when you're done, it looks like, I think it was the Cupcake, before MakerBot made the big MakerBots, is their Cupcake printer. It was like, when I first saw one of those, it looked like somebody's science experiment, and the print quality wasn't all that great. And I knew back then that I didn't want to spend $700 on a kit printer that was more of a novelty than anything. So printers have come a long way. So for $750, you get a pretty damn pro printer. So that's, in the last 10 years about the progression that we've seen in 3D printers has been amazing. So let's see, next step. It says now we're going to do the heat bed screws and spacers. So this heat bed's going to get mounted on this little carriage right here. So let's make sure I got everything. I need 9 flathead screws and 9 spacers. Let's make sure I have those. I've got my little stash of screws here. So all right, that's a 9-ish. So 9 of those, and then 9 of these little flathead screws. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, so we got those. It says push the Y carriage to the front and place the heat bed behind it. So I'm going to scoot my whole printer up here. It looks like I took a foot. I put the rubber feet on the other day, and it looks like I already ripped one off. Can I fix that real quick? Yeah, came off the back. So maybe you guys can see that. Yeah, I like the way the feet go on here. It's just that, yeah, there's, I guess, situations where they can get plucked off. So you just have to be a little bit careful or not move your printer a lot, right? Once it's set up, is leave it, find a good spot for it and leave it. All right, so there's my printer. I'll angle it toward you a little bit more. So I have this cable is going to get out of my way. I have my stepper cable. All right, good enough. All right, it says take your print bed. Oh, and I just realized I put the I set this on another part of my bench, and since there's like a million magnets in here, I'm gonna double check and make sure I didn't. I know it picked up the screwdriver, but okay, I didn't pick up any nuts or bolts by accident, which is good. All right, so it says put the heat bed back, so back behind the carriage, but on the printer, and it says locate the hole in the center of the carriage. There's a hole right in the middle of the carriage right here, right dead center. I don't know if I can get the lighting on here any better. Sorry for that. So there's a hole in the center. It says place 1 spacer on top of the hole. So one of my spacers right there. And it says the exact position will be adjusted in the next step. So, all right, it says push the Allen key through the middle hole on the heat bed and place it above the spacer. Wow, that's an interesting mounting thing. Okay, so we need an Allen key that definitely goes through all of these holes. Yes, okay. So, so we're going to take our heat bed. There's a hole, one of the mounting holes in the middle. We're going to drop the Allen key through the center of that. And then we're going to press the Allen key through the center of our spacer, and then the center of the hole on the carriage. I'm guessing this is probably the hardest one since it's in the middle. So all those 3 things line up now. And it says after the alignment, insert an M3 12B 14B screw instead. Whatever that means. Well, it says insert the flat screw. I think it's the screw from the previous step. Is it? Yeah. Yes. Okay. It's one of the 9 screws. It says, so all this lines up. I have my Allen key right here, keeping everything centered. So it says, go ahead and pull that out. Don't bump it like I just did. Drop that in there. And then I don't think this key will work for this. No. So I need this key. So turn it into the thing. And there you go. So it threads. It's good. So I've just tighten the screw just slightly. So I'm going to snug it up. All right, that's slightly tight. It'll wobble a little bit, but not a lot. All right, there. Now it's slightly tighter. Let's see. Galen says there are some locks on Thingiverse to keep the feet from coming off. Very nice. Thank you, Galen. Galen, if you do happen to have the Thingiverse number, if you feel like looking it up, go ahead and post it on the chat. That would be cool. But that's a great addition to this printer. And I might go do, one of the first things I'll print is probably that. All right, it says, so we did our center hole. Let's do our first edge hole. It says we're going to do this one. It says move to the right side of the bed, place a spacer in your pliers. So we have these pliers. And then it says, again, use the Allen key to align the spacer. So we're going to put this, I can see that I've inserted this in the side. I can see the spacer hole through the mounting hole. I'm going to drop this Allen key into those both alignments. Oh, and the magnets are actually pulling my tool and other stuff back and forth, so you get to fight that a little bit. But just be aware of that. So the alignment. All right, that's all aligns. Okay, that's aligned. I'm going to get my screw ready. And I'm going to pull the Allen key out, and then I'm going to drop the screw in. And alright, and then we're going to use the Allen key to tighten this. And that's 2 out of 9. There, that's 2. Not too difficult of a process. It says, do the other 7 just like you did these. So it's saying that it's easier for you to do the first 4 screws as these ones that are on the inside edges, like the one I just did, and then do your corners last, is what they're saying in the instructions. So we'll go ahead and we'll follow that. So I'm going to put this in my pliers. I'm going to get my Allen key ready. I'm going to insert this, line the hole up. It dropped all the way through. Use my screw. I'm going to pull my Allen key straight out. I'm going to drop that screw in. And then I'm going to tighten the screw in there. Bang. Good. All right. Let's rotate the printer a little bit. All right. Again, put the pliers with the spacer. Get my Allen key ready. Run it in the gap there. I can see it. Get it all lined up. Get my screw ready. Pull the Allen key. Drop the screw. And then tighten the screw. Right, on the back side. All right, let's get our pliers with that thing. Get my Allen key ready. Put that in. Drop the Allen key in there. Get my screw ready. All right, that's 5 screws down. We just got to do the corners now. Galen, thank you for posting that thing. If you can't read the chat because it's too small, it's thing number 2765399 on Thingiverse, and that's the thing that locks your feet into your printer. So thank you again, Galen. All right, let's do the corners, and I'll just start with the one closest to me here. I'm actually going to move this back. So again, one of these things, spacer, get into the corner, drop my Allen key, get a screw ready. Up, and something sprung that out of there. Odd. What did? Oh, my thermistor wire acted like a spring and actually pushed that spacer back out. So it looks like I need to probably get the spacer in from that direction. And then note that when you're doing this process, there's a thermistor wire there, and don't damage it while you're doing this process by pinching it or something. Yeah, this is kind of a tight area because the wires also go through here. I'm gonna take another look at this. I'm gonna get that up and around the back side here. Yeah. Nope. So this corner is a little bit tricky. Let's see if I can get underneath from this side. Wow, this is tight. I'm running into something here, so kind of sucks. Yeah, my thermistor wire, if I push it in this way, the thermistor wire acts like a tension and wants to push the thing out when I pull the Allen key. So I really kind of want to get it on the other side. Or maybe I can just push the thermistor wire back a little bit. I don't really want to damage this. Yeah, I think I can make the wire go the other direction. And I'm also fighting the magnets in here with my tool. I think what I'll do is I'll leave this in here. And I press the wire. Alright, so I'm going to use this tool. I can do this. Use another Allen key here. That's the gap size. There we go. All right. I use this Allen key to push the wire, the thermistor wire, away from the hole. This way I can get this spacer in, and then the thermistor wire will just go on that side of the hole. But as long as there is still, slop in there or slack in there, it won't hurt the wire. But yeah, this corner is a little bit tricky, isn't it? Yep, gotta get this straight. It's also because I'm tightening down all these corners. The gap is like really tight now. There it goes. All right, got that in there. Yep, wrong key. Just cutting down. Let's pull that out of there. I'm going to make sure that I'm not pinching the wire by accident. So, yeah, that thermistor wire is not pinched, so I just want to double check it. Yeah, and Galen says it helps if the other screws are loose, but I like to torture myself. So this last one, I'm guessing, won't be so hard. All right. we're on this final. Sorry, we're on the second to last, or third to last corner. So the other thing I noticed is they say drop the Allen key in, but you can actually, once you get skilled at this, is get this in here and get your screw right in right away. You don't have to alternate with the Allen key in the hole. That was for the first one, was definitely true. But I think for this, we have it. Kind of the home stretch here. All right, got my screw ready. All right, and the last hole. So again, it takes, I guess, some technique to do this, but it's not hard. If I ever have to get the heat bed off, it really wouldn't be that bad of an experience. All right, that's all the screws on the heat bed. So we're going to move on to the next step. So next step is preparing the power supply unit. The power supply unit is this silver box right here. And so they've already prepared the power inlet, probably for your country, like we're in America. Although I think that's actually a universal input, so it's the cable that they throw in the box that's for your country. But they've made this 3D printed piece that goes on the end cap, hooks into the terminals. We've added the power switch here, so kind of nice. Kind of a nice design and everything. So, all right, so let's get this mounted. So it says I need some short screws here. It says I need some M4s, 2 M4s, and 2 M3s, which I'm not seeing. So I'm a little bit worried that I don't have the screws I need. Maybe in another box. Anybody got any ideas? There's definitely... These might be, those look like M8s or M10s. Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm reading it wrong. M4 by 10. Yeah, these are definitely M4 by 10s. And then these are M3 by, okay. So I was reading the 4s and 3s as lengths. But I know better, so my brain was just a little bit scrambled. So I have the screws I need. In the picture, they look really short. Compared to these. That's probably what threw me off as well. So, all right, it says locate the back side of your printer. Let's see, the short end, which is the back side. Let's rotate our printer around. Okay. It says locate the 4 mounting points. So in a previous chapter, we added these little sliding slot nuts in here. We added those in, and it looks like that's what they're asking us to go find, and we're going to mount the power supply tab onto that. It says place the PSU on the frame and secure it with M4 by 10 screws. Don't tighten them completely. That is the blue, I'm guessing blue screws, M4s. the slightly bigger screws are M4s, the smaller ones are M3s. So let's get this on here. And then on your power supply, there's a mounting hole here, and there's a mounting hole there, and that's going to probably line up with the upper part of the frame. And then our power cable is going to aim outward. And then there's this flange, and that's kind of what's going on, our little sliding nuts to hold the actual power supply at the bottom. So let's get that going. Oh, and then I pre-wrapped my stepper cable around the frame. Let's get that out of the way now. Let's get that off of here. Alright, that's not going to get pinched. These nuts look like they're going to need to slide right about there. So I put them, you can see the position there. I pre-slid the nuts there just so I don't have to fight them too much. And then the power supply mounts with the frame. The other nice thing is it looks like the power supply helps keep the upper part of the frame wobbling, so that'll eliminate vibration. So it's a good way to use something like a power supply as a partially a structural element, or something that just reduces vibration or movement on your whole frame. So that's kind of cool. Let's thread one of these through the back. So I got this screw right here threaded through. I'm gonna put the power supply about where it needs to go. Find the hole on this thing. There it is. All right. I'm gonna turn it by hand a little bit. So I got it to thread a little bit. Now the power supply on there. It's not going anywhere. I'm gonna put the second screw in here. Find the hole in the frame. There it is. Same thing. I'm going to turn it by hand just a little bit, as much as my fingers will let me turn it. All right, power supply's on there. It's got a few turns in it. So we mounted that. It says put the screws in. It says don't tighten them completely. I hand tightened them. Good enough, right? So it says now your sliding nuts. It says slide your PSU holders under the cover, and it's the two sliding nuts. I pre-adjusted those because I didn't want to have to fight them, but they're underneath those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Allen wrench to make sure the hole is aligned with the nut before I actually put the screws in. There it is. Okay, so I got that one lined up. I guess you can't see that. Let me see if I can rotate this. Oh, God. Printer's getting heavier and heavier, isn't it? So you can kind of see. So I dropped the Allen wrench down in this hole, and I got the nut to center on the hole, the plastic hole in the nut. So everything's centered there. And the second one, same thing. I had it kind of in the right place, but it looks like it went right through. So now I know when I add my screws, I'm not going to be trying to figure out why the nut, or where the nut is. It looks kind of hard to slide it around once all this is together anyways, so kind of want to get it there in the first place. It says my two M3x10s, secure it, don't tighten them completely. It says move the PSU on the mount to properly line up the other mount. Whatever that. Okay, so dropping that in there. Let's thread that one in. Yeah, okay, it's going. Alright, that one's snug but not tight. Let's get that one in there. Alright, so those two are in. I'm going to back them off just so they're, if I have to adjust anything here. But all the screws are in, and they're just ready to be tightened whenever the step says I should do that. It says reseat the PSU and then tighten the screws. So all the screws are in. It says to kind of make sure the PSU is seated, it's not kinked or crooked. It's where you want it to be, and then tighten. So I'm going to tighten the frame ones first. since it's my belief that's really the one that's part of the structure of the frame. So let's make sure that they're tight. All right, that one's tight, and then we'll tighten these. I have a tool for that. I'm going to tighten these evenly. I'm going to snug them down at the same time, and then I'll do the final tighten. So they're kind of snug, and then I'm going to do the final tightening. All right, they are down. That's really solid. Let's get this back in frame. Right, my power supply. It's on the frame. It's attached up here. It's attached to the frame up here. Really solid. Down on the base, really solid. I can tell the upper arm, the upper part of the printer is a lot more solid now. So that's kind of nice. It's a nice part of the design. When I first saw it, I'm like, why would you put the power supply out here? But now I see that's a great way to save space and then have that power supply be part of your frame structure and make it stronger. So, so blah blah blah. Tighten the screws. It says just one more chapter and your assembly's done, and you can start turning it on. So. What time is it? It's like 8 o'clock. I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish this tonight, and then tomorrow I'll actually power it on. So give me about 10 minutes. I'm going to say 8:10 p.m. I'm going to start a stream on the final, not the final chapter, but the next chapter of assembly, and we'll get this printer actually physically done. All right, we'll see you guys in 10 minutes.